Happy Halloween, Raider Nation. Before we get into today's show around trades, I want to know from you, what's your favorite Halloween candy? If you want to know my favorite, watch until the very end of today's show. Coming up here on today's show, I'm going to talk about some Raiders trades that make me want to puke. Don't get me wrong. I'm probably the king of talking about Raiders trade ideas, but I've seen a lot of people out on the internet making their very own silver and black trades featuring many of our own players, many of us going out and getting some big name players. What I decided to do today is look at all of the trades around the internet, and I found my top 5 Raiders trades that make me want to puke. I'm going to go from 5, work my way down to 1, and if you don't know, I will be live all day on Tuesday, November 4th, for the NFL trade deadline. Let's go to number 5, rolling in here for the worst Raiders trades of the week. This one coming in from Heavy.com. The trade was this. It is Raiders receive cornerback Woolen straight up for Seahawks Jackson Powers Johnson. He's going over there. I'll be real with you. I actually spoke to the Jackson Powers Johnson family recently. They appreciate all the support that the Raiders Report gives JPJ, so I hope that we can continuously do that. The reason why I hate this trade, I know I've been saying for a long time, I want to Woolen. I want to be able to add talent in that secondary, but it's not at the cost of an interior offensive lineman, especially one as talented as JPJ. And I mean, I know I'm not a big fan of Heavy, but even if Heavy's smart enough to figure it out, then I think that the Raiders would hopefully be smart enough to not do that trade. Trading for Powers Johnson would be a big swing for Seattle, but with Super Bowl aspirations mounting, he could be the key piece to push them over the top. Anybody that refers to a player on our team as a potential, push for a Super Bowl, it's probably not somebody that you should trade away. And again, I would invest on offensive line before I do the secondary. Let's go to the number 4 worst trade of the week here. And this one's rolling in for Bleacher Report. Spoiler alert, Bleacher Report made this list twice on this show, which is not an easy thing to do. The trade that I saw that Bleacher Report threw out there was that the Raiders, they're going to send away Jakobi Meyers to the New England Patriots. The Patriots, they give us a 5th-round pick. And I understand that Bleacher Report probably doesn't know the ins and outs of the Raiders as well as, maybe they should have. And I don't even know who ended up writing this article. But if you end up keeping Jakobi Meyers, you're going to get a 4th-round comp pick. Sure, it's in the year 2027, but at the end of the day, I will take a 4th-round comp pick instead of a 5th-round pick in 2026. On top of that, the Raiders are apparently looking for a 2nd or a 3rd-round pick. So getting a 5th and sending him to New England, I think it would be a huge kick in the nuts. Here's what Bleacher Report had to say. Jakobi has spent the majority of his career with the Patriots offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels, and the 28-year-old is in a walk year for the struggling Raiders. It would make sense for the Pats to try to bring him back to support Stephon Diggs. And I don't even think it's about supporting Stephon Diggs. I think it's supporting your young quarterback that you have in Drake May that, I'll tell you what, man, you could make an argument that he is a top 5 MVP candidate. I think you make an argument that he's a top 3 MVP candidate. And shout out to all the real ones. Y'all remember my number 1 quarterback in that draft class. It was Drake May, number 1. Number 2 was Jaden Daniels. Number 3 was Caleb Williams. I'm just saying, I knew Drake May was going to be special. It sucks, though, that he's being special with Josh McDaniels. If you guys do not know, I am going to be doing a bunch, and I mean a bunch of live shows this week. It's going to be jam-packed. So obviously we're going to be live for the Raiders game. Then I'm going to be live at 3 p.m. Eastern time on that Monday. No Monday night coverage. We're trying something a little bit different this week because of the NFL trade deadline. And then Thursday Night Football with the Raiders. And then I will be back on that Friday just doing an overall recap of everything that we talked about. What I do on this show is exactly what I'm going to do on this show. So if you want more Raiders Report this week, make sure you're subscribed. Let's go to the number 3 worst trade idea. And it's another one coming in here from Bleacher Report. And these next 3 trades that I'm going to show y'all, I'm just going to warn you, if you get nauseous easily, might want to go get a bag, might want to sit down, just going to warn you. Bleacher Report trade idea number 2. The Raiders get Anthony Richardson and a 6th-round pick. The Colts receive Eric Stokes. So you're telling me you're going to want me to give up our best corner by far this season, and on top of that, you want me to have Anthony Richardson. So that means Geno Smith, Aiden O'Connell, Kenny Pickett, Anthony Richardson are on this team. When you look at what Daniel Jones is doing for the Colts, I think it just speaks volumes of how bad, truly, AR really is. Here again is what Bleacher Report has to say. At this point, it's pretty obvious Daniel Jones is the Colts guy, and equally obvious that Geno Smith is not the guy in Las Vegas. So it would make sense for the Raiders to bring in a potential reclamation project who could be in the mix for the 2026 starting job. I'll tell you this right now. I didn't go through the Josh McDaniels era. I didn't deal with the 4-13 Raiders last season, and I'm not dealing with the 2-5 Raiders now to potentially deal with the quarterback competition that involves Anthony Richardson in 2026. I know he's a great athlete, but he's not a quarterback, and I have no interest in him. I would rather start Aiden O'Connell. I would rather start Kenny Pickett. I would rather start just about anything over Anthony Richardson. That guy stinks. We got 2 more horrible trades coming up here in just a moment, but today's show is sponsored by our good friends Prize Picks, and the hard foot hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Prize Picks is simple to play. You just pick 2 player stats. If you get your picks right, you can cash in. All you got to do, again, pick up to 2 players. 2 to 6 is what I love to be able to do. Now, I don't have a lineup to show y'all today because I will be putting a lineup out on Thursday Night Football. I am pre-recording this before a Thursday night show. But I wanted to talk about the Raiders game going up against the Jags. Brock Bowers hasn't played in quite some time. It looks like he's going to be 100% healthy. I want to know from you, if you were on Prize Picks, more or less Brock Bowers 0.5 rush or receiving touchdowns. And if you're like, you know what, Mitch, I think Brock Bowers is going to score a touchdown. You know what I also think? I think Ashton Genty is going to have more than 16.5 carries based on everything I've been hearing around Pete Carroll. And right there, that's 2 things. So all you got to do is download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Let's go to the second worst trade here, and it's from ESPN, and I've seen a lot of people talking about it, and I think you need to understand what you're about to look at, because I think if you don't understand what this trade is, you're going to be like, well, what? Wait a minute here, Mitch. The Raiders get Tua Tagovailoa, a second-round pick in 2026, and a second-round pick in 2027. The Miami Dolphins get a fifth-round pick. Now, some of you might be going, well, why is this a bad trade for the Raiders? It's a bad trade for the Raiders, 1, because you're stuck with Tua Tagovailoa for at least 2 years, and if you're going to be paying him that amount of money, I would believe that he's going to be your starting quarterback, or you're essentially paying, it's like a boatload. It's like $103 million worth of money for those 2 second-round picks. So if you're like, all right, that second-round pick's worth blank amount of million, that second-round worth blank amount of million, then would you be willing to pay $35, $40, $50 million for a second-round pick? If you're saying yes, that's okay. To me, I am concerned that if the Raiders went out and got Tua, that he would be the starter, and I don't want any more reclamation projects. Like, I would rather us just go out and figure out a way to invest that money into other players on that offensive line to then go out and draft that rookie quarterback. Because if you do this, I still don't know if you're going to have enough talent around a quarterback that at any moment, whether you like to admit it or not, is a hit away from a career-ending injury. ESPN, though, said this. Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, hear me out, this is the Brock Osweiler trade on steroids. The Raiders currently have $103 million, $174 million in 2026, 2027 cap space, respectfully. If that trade happened next week, Las Vegas would keep Tagovailoa through 2026 at a cost of roughly $70 million. That vast majority fully guaranteed. It would get the Dolphins out of their tight cap situation so they can reset, rebuild, and it would be more efficient use of resources for Las Vegas, regardless of whether Tagovailoa ever takes the field for them or not. So essentially, that means you're paying $35 million for those 2 second-round picks that I was talking about there. Because, again, I don't view Tua as a quarterback that I want to be a starter of this team. And, you know, they talk a lot about rebuild. I mean, if we're going to rebuild, let's rebuild the right way. I don't want to rebuild with Tua as my quarterback. That's just not a good idea for me. So let me know down below. Like the video if you're done with washed-up veteran quarterbacks, because I really am done with it. I'm done. I don't want Tua. I'm done with Geno Smith. I tried the Gardner Minshew experiment. That was freaking terrible. Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm done with it. I want a young quarterback with a young, innovative head coach. And if you agree with that statement, hit that like button. And I hope that you do. Let's go to the final and the worst trade of the day. Now, I hate to break it to you. PFF didn't have the stones to put a trade together, but they did have the stones to put a trade idea out there. And that trade idea was Maxx Crosby to the San Francisco 49ers. And I saw the trade idea, and when I say idea, it's literally they were just like, I think Maxx to the 49ers makes a lot of sense. I'll say this, if you're going to put out a deal like that, why not actually put the work into what that trade would look like? Just saying Maxx to the 49ers is lazy, and based on a lot of the things that we've seen from PFF recently, it's been a very, very lazy type of production from them. But this is what they said. PFF on Crosby to the 49ers. San Francisco was already thin at edge rusher going into the season, and those concerns have only been exasperated following Nick Bosa's Week 3 ACL tear. Since Week 4, the 49ers are 30th in pressure rate, and the team's edge rushers possess the same standing at PFF pass rushing grade. Crosby is in a similar boat to Simmons, a top talent being stranded on a dysfunctional team. The Raiders don't seem to have plans to trade Crosby, who's under contract through 2029. However, it would be tough to draw up a franchise that needs Crosby well-rounded more than the 49ers. So, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button. I hope that you guys do. And if any crazy trades end up going down, I will warn you, I am going to be at Alex's parents' house on Friday and on Saturday. So if any big-time crazy trades happen, I'm going to be going live from their house with Chuck. So tune in, hit that subscribe button, make sure those notifications are turned on.